Welcome everyone to this afternoon session of ELSAConnect. Today's session is going to be handled by Madhuri Hingorani. She passed out from Lady Shri Ram in 1986, psychology honors. She's had a very varied journey through her years after college. She went to Cordon Bleu in Paris to do a diploma in catering. And after that, after her marriage into a business family, which was into manufacturing of Liberty shirts, she took up designing of exclusive menswear line. And after a stint in the clothing industry, she went on to design her own line. And then after that, due to some personal tragedy, she went and did a lot of courses like Reiki, Haiti healing, and finally a PhD in alternate healing. Today, when most of us feel, a sense of being bored during the COVID time and not being able to meet people and all of that is weighing on us, I find that Madhuri couldn't be a busier person. It's very difficult to get hold of Madhuri because she runs a cloud kitchen and the things that she's turning out is having her clientele increasing by leaps and bounds. So I'm sure you'll enjoy listening to Madhuri's tryst with destiny, as she calls it. Over to you, Madhuri.
Thank you so much, Geeta. And thank you so much for all of you joining me today. I always get a lump in my throat when I'm with you, Elsas, because I feel we've connected somewhere perhaps long before this lifetime. Each one of you is so wonderful and so special that I know that if at any given point of time I require any kind of advice, help, you're all there for me. Which is a wonderful sisterhood to belong to and a wonderful college to pass out from. So thank you once again for all of you, to all of you for coming and joining on this particular ELSAConnect show. And I just want to give you a very short background about myself so that you can understand a little bit more about what my journey has been and is at the moment. And well, with universal cosmic energy, will be even better and better as the days go by. I came from a background which was totally professional. My mother was practicing criminal lawyer in the High Court in London. My father, after doing his MBA from Harvard, which was in those days a very great achievement because there were very few Indians who actually did a full-fledged MBA from Harvard. They decided to, when they got married, they decided to actually, well, both me and my sister were born in London because my grandparents were living there. My grandfather was an eye surgeon there. But when they decided to start a family, both me and my sister, along with our parents, shifted to India. And I attended school in Convent of Jesus and Mary, which was a wonderful experience for 13 years. Even though we were amongst nuns, they were not as strict as made out to be. They were very forthcoming and very encouraging. And I think it gave us a tremendous sense of balance and security to belong to CJM in those times. The only other school which was really, which had a really good reputation was Modern School, but it was strange that lots of people said that if you want a real lady, she should be coming from Convent of Jesus and Mary School. So there was not a doubt in my parents' mind which school they wanted both me and my sister to join, and it was CJM. And after 13 wonderful years, I joined Lady Shri Ram College, which was my favorite college. My cousins, Lilette Dubé, had passed out from there. I think Lucian too had attended that college. And from my father's side of the family, which is from my mother's side of the family, but from my father's side of the family, Aarti R. Jairath, who is now a very well-known journalist in Delhi and comes on TV ever so often. She came to stay with us because her parents were abroad, and she attended Lady Shri Ram College for 3 years. I was really tiny at that time, but I could see she really enjoyed attending that college. So although I had gained admission into St. Stephen's College also, I definitely chose Lady Shri Ram College because, as I said, this background that I had already, information from my elder cousins, always, made me feel that I want to belong to that college. Lady Shri Ram College was a wonderful experience. Truly, truly wonderful. I cannot quite explain in which ways it molded me as a person, because I think it was more intangible. But yes, a sense of drive, a sense of that you feel you have to accomplish something in your life, and perhaps something that you feel that you're driven in some way. I can't quite explain it further than that, but I do know that a sense of ambition to excel, a sense of patience to try and achieve something worthwhile definitely came from my Lady Shri Ram years. My Lady Shri Ram years were a blast. I had never enjoyed myself as much. My parents were far more lenient with me to go out and socialize and enjoy myself. Not so much when I was in school, but definitely when I was in college, they were far more lenient. And so every day almost was like a party. I would actually sit down with my books very, very diligently after, when the last 4 months were there. But the subject that I took, psychology honors, actually that particular subject did entail a certain amount of work on a weekly basis, or at least a weekly basis, if not on every other day basis. So there were certain aspects which I wanted to share regarding my childhood years, which was that I developed a sense of sensibilities towards cuisine, really from both my parents. They had an extremely refined taste, not just in food, but in art, music, culture. And both me and my sister were initially, when we were very young, dragged to all the museums, dragged to Indian dance recitals, Indian music, Western classical dance, Western music, and art exhibitions, you name it. We were pretty resentful in the beginning, but when we developed a keen sense of taste for it, we really used to look forward to these particular outings with my parents. We never really went out to eat food except on occasion for breakfast, because we had the most wonderful cuisine made at home. In those days, it was very, very, very unusual to have 2 different desserts at any given point of time in your home, and different kinds of cuisine, whether it be Italian or Mexican or pizzas or burgers or whatsoever. So all my school and college friends would always collect at home, and we would. It was like a running restaurant, so as to speak, because in school and college you're on a budget, and what better than to save money and come over home and eat all these wonderful things. So it was really that sense of sensibilities that really made me take a keen interest in cuisine. And when my father offered, well, both me and my sister, whether we wanted to do an MBA or whether we wanted to, do a course in cuisine, I automatically chose a course in cuisine, because for me, growing up in that atmosphere, I was far more exposed to that. And MBA seemed, well, very, to go so far away to actually study was a little scary for me at that time. So, so after during my condom law experience, I must share that it was the sense of discipline and punctuality that really kind of I imbibed those qualities. I was not really able to be as punctual in all respects, but definitely a sense of discipline towards life, um, towards your health, or whether it's towards your work or anything that entails discipline, is really a characteristic I feel that I imbibed from my course in Le Condom Bleu in Paris. The teachers were very strict at that point of time, and you had to absolutely adhere to what they said. And there was no reprieve for anybody at all, whether it was whether they were from any background or any nationality. Having said that, once I got married and shifted to Mumbai, my husband is from Mumbai. My father-in-law initiated the first ever ready-made shirt made in India called Liberty, and also a sister concern, Libertina Undergarments. They had a very, very widespread kind of network, which extended right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. In those days, I learned a lot from my father-in-law. He was extremely supportive of me and regarded me as a daughter. In fact, whenever we went to see the dealers, he would introduce me as his daughter. And the dealers would turn around and say, "Where have you hidden her for 20 odd years?" So it was something that he would just laugh, and I would say that I'm not really his daughter, but I'm his daughter-in-law married to his son. But he took a lot of pride in taking me around, and I learned how to drive with him on the roads of Bandra during the monsoon rains, and it was incredible. He was so very patient to teach me driving. So that's something I would always remember and be grateful for to him. From my mother-in-law, I actually also learned a lot. She hailed from a very simple background, but she was extremely generous in her advice and her support, whether it be the way I wanted to be or the way I wanted to decorate the home, because we were in a joint family. So I actually learned that when you become a parent, you have to be very accepting of your children and not make them do exactly as you think is best for them. You give them enough space to really understand themselves. You may guide them, you may advise them, but it's wonderful if you give them the space to really do as and how they deem fit. And if they, in that process, they learn from their own mistakes, it's all right, because you're always at the back to help them out in any kind of a difficult situation. So I really appreciate, she was a remarkable woman and extremely down to earth and very practical. And I did also learn to kind of run the house with her, to take accounts and things like that, which I would not have otherwise learned if I had just shifted on my own when I had shifted to Bangalore with my husband. So it was a very, very rewarding experience to be there in Mumbai for that 1.5 years. When I worked in Liberty, I brought out a line called Liberty Class. This was basically for, at that point of time, designer shirts for men were almost non-existent. Liberty was known for the office wear shirt, which was worn under a suit with a tie. And it was a totally novel experience for the dealers to be told that, uh, this is a new range of 12 shirts and you have to try and sell them. I must say it was amazing to also handle the advertising campaigns for the company, because Shashi Kapoor and Kabir Bedi were really, really well-known film stars at that time. And to have them as models for Liberty was something considered to be very unusual and quite a feat. And I remember coining the slogan, which they used for quite a few years after that too, was "Behind every successful man, there's a distinguished Liberty label." And uh, I remember meeting Shashi Kapoor, and he was my heartthrob while I was in school and college. I told my husband when I married him that you've got a lot of competition from this man, because he's been my childhood favorite. I had all his cuttings of his photographs in my cupboard, which incidentally, so did my sister, and so did my elder sister Aarti Jairath. So we all had Shashi Kapoor all over our inside part of our cupboards. So when I actually met him and he said, "आप इधर तो आ गई हैं, मगर आपने अपना नाम नहीं बताया." I could have almost fainted with excitement, and that he actually spoke to me. It was something which will always a memory that I will cherish. And I took, well, those times the selfies were not there, but I took a wonderful photograph with him, and it was all in all a very good learning experience, and a very enjoyable and light-hearted experience that I had when in my um, in the first 1.5 years of my marriage. However, due to the fact that the labor was a little difficult to manage, my husband decided to shift to Bangalore, almost like a stopgap kind of a thing. But after we came here, my son was really small, and my first son Keshav was really, really small, and he decided to start with just 23 machines, which was pretty difficult for him, having been born with a silver spoon in his mouth. But he didn't really have a choice in those days because of these particular factors, which was not proper, could not be controlled. So we started in a 2-bedroom apartment here in Bangalore, and part of which is now my kitchen, my central kitchen. And we got the above apartment, I think 2 years after we shifted, 2 or 3 years after we shifted. And what I really remember is, in those years, my husband was extremely supportive of me and my desire to really do something constructive with my time. So he helped me by encouraging me to go and do a course at NIFT in Bangalore. It was an evening class, because during the day I was really busy with my son. And I attended this pattern making class in NIFT in Bangalore. And then he gave me some of his really good masters to really make the line that I wish to. So it was really my ideas, which they could translate into actual fabrics and things like that. And the good part was that because he was in exports, because my husband was in exports, I had access to some fabrics and trims that were not easily available in the local market. So it was really thanks to the wonderful Juki machines, which was like a Mercedes of a car, and wonderful masters who were fantastic in pattern making, that I was really able to bring out my line Kia Prasad Vidapa launched my show in Taj West End Hotel at that time. And I remember meeting Prasad and saying that, look, I have so many ideas. What do you think I should do? So he said, what's your most favorite fabric? And I said, denim. I think that's why I'm also wearing it today. So I brought out 68 styles of denim. I went really nuts. I was so passionate about, wanting my first launch to be perfect. So we put athlete work, embroidery, you name it, quirky, traditional, something for everyone. And Prasad, when he saw the line, said, this is really wonderful, Madhuri. I don't think I've ever done something like this before. And he gave me some really good models to launch my first line, which then sold in Folio in Bangalore, as well as Folio in Chennai, and Ogan in Delhi, and a few other shops too, which like Rugs and Riches, of which some personal friends who own the shops said that, Madhuri, we really like your line, and would you like to put a small collection in with us too? So it was a very rewarding experience. And I was, besides catering to the Indian community, also catered to a lot of foreigners who, appreciated the whole garment. And I was so happy when they would say that, Madhuri, the garment looks as beautiful inside as it looks outside. And I said, yes, this is thanks to the 5-thread overlock machine that really is my, my husband's gift to me to really make the garment look beautiful. So it was such a rewarding experience that I took my line, well, not just the denim wear, but I went into a lot of other ethnic wear, semi-traditional, semi-ethnic kind of wear abroad, in the Philippines and Singapore and Dubai. Lots of places that I had friends and who would kind of give me a background support regarding, how to go about the exhibitions. And I remember sometimes that the person who would come and do the makeup skills for the models would charge so much and sometimes be running late, and so the exhibition would get late. So I decided to do a course myself from the London School of Makeup, and I decided to perfect my skills in makeup, and so that I could, if I had an exhibition, I didn't have to wait for the person to come and actually do the makeup for me. So somebody, I don't remember quite who, got to know about my skills and said that, why don't you start an etiquette school, a personal grooming and etiquette school? And I asked my husband, and he said, well, why not? So that's how I actually forayed into personal grooming and etiquette with a lot of hotels. So I was the corporate trainer for grooming and etiquette skills with Taj. That's where I started off from. And then I was the corporate trainer for the Oberoi and for the ITC hotels and for the Leela hotels. And it was a wonderful experience because I would be treated like a diva, and I would go to all these wonderful hotels and eat all their wonderful food in all the restaurants. And they really held me in high esteem, and I really enjoyed doing my stint with these people. The reason why I actually stopped doing that was because I think they found it really difficult to really carve out the time for me to go and train the various departments, whether it be the heads of the departments, the HODs, or whether it be the frontline staff. And they were asking me to make a CD, which they could then, buy off me, and they would run it for their various grooming programs. I found that a little bit difficult because I said that, it's very, very difficult to try and put on a CD everything. And so I declined the offer and then automatically declined others too, because I said, okay, I need to find something else which is of interest to me.
Madhuri, you have another 10 minutes.
Sure.
You have another 10 minutes.
Sure, Geeta. So after my stint with this personal grooming and etiquette, I decided to actually utilize the skills that I had been trained in, but really didn't know where to start. So at a loss as to what to do, actually, I approached a very dear friend of mine, Ashima Dang. And she was a headhunter at that time. And my younger son, Kanishk, was her daughter and my son were studying in the same class. And she, I just went to meet her out of the blue, and she said, well, Madhuri, why don't you just go into corporate? So at that time I said, okay, what should I do? So she said, what is of interest to you? What have you been trained in? So I said, well, I've done this course here with this London School of Makeup and things like that. So she said, well, why don't you go to L'Oreal? So I said, but I don't know why would they employ me, in what capacity? She said, well, just go and meet them and see what it's like. So I went to meet them, and when they asked me, what do you know about it? I said, well, I've been running a personal school myself. They said, then why do you want to join our company? I said, because I think I need to be, to develop more exposure in actually working with corporate and understanding how really it all functions. So they said, what do you know about beauty and makeup? I said, well, nothing very much. I may have run a grooming and etiquette school, but as far as L'Oreal is concerned, I don't know anything really. It's just that I use your products. So they said, oh, okay. So so they gave me a position in which I was training the various people in their company on how to sell the products over the, across the counter. So that was an enriching experience. But then they extended it and said that I need to travel to Chennai, I need to travel to Hyderabad, and I had two small children. I wouldn't wake up knowing where I am. It was so hectic. I didn't know whether I was in Chennai or Hyderabad. I had to have two small bags packed all the time. So I said, okay, this is really meant for a single lady, definitely not for a married one, and with two small children, definitely not it. So I resigned, and that is when I actually decided that I wanted to go into cuisine. So that's when my journey started. And having never actually sold stuff, though made a lot of different kinds of cuisine for my husband's buyers who would come over home and expect wonderful meals to be cooked and desserts. I'd only made really for friends and family. So I decided to play safe and to start in the various clubs in Bangalore. So it was basically in Bangalore Club and in the cricket club, in KGA, the Karnataka Golf Club, in BGC, Bangalore Golf Club. These are the various clubs that I, started in, and also the cricket club. But what I found was that because it was so restricted to just the members and their guests, they expected wonderful food, but at a very, very reasonable cost. And we were not growing in terms of the number of, the outreach that we would have for our food or for our desserts. So when I shifted to Divyashree 2 years ago was when I decided, okay, we need to, it was Shalini who encouraged me and said that, Madhuri, you'll always regret if you don't start here, because you're already catering to lots of people here for your desserts. Why are you not putting up a shop? So I said, okay, but I really don't know what the response will be like, because they're already buying from me here. She said, but there are so many offices around and they all would love to have cakes like this. So I said, really, I mean, do you really think I'm good enough? So she says, of course. Why do you have any sense of doubt? So just go into it. So I said, okay. And her husband too was extremely supportive. And I would go for my walks around the, the community with them. And slowly but surely they would, work on me for really starting here. So I really give them a very big thank you to really encouraging me to start in a way that I perhaps would never have had the courage to start, in the way that I did, by having a complete shop where people I didn't know at all were coming in, and from offices, I started getting huge corporate orders for, the offices around whenever they had their occasion, they required occasion cakes, which were ever so often. And besides that, of course, the people from the neighboring offices would come and buy stuff from.
Madhuri, another 5 minutes.
Sure. Thank you, Geeta. So we started in this way, and it was just developing to be really, really rewarding when COVID struck. So I must say this, with COVID striking, I had people telling me, don't stop your desserts, please give it to us. And when you're having private parties, would you give us some food also, because we can't go out? So I said, fine. And that's really the way in which I started, from one community to the other. And I have to thank my ELSA sisters for this, because there were so many of you who reached out and said, we'll help you start in our community. I am going to name all of them, because I don't want to finish this session without naming and thanking all of you, and especially those who really helped me to grow to the level at which I have. I now cater to more than 20 different communities in Bangalore, and right from Jai Mahal or Sadashiv Nagar to beyond Whitefield. What I found was the guiding factor in my life was when, in 2003, both my father-in-law and my husband, and both my father-in-law and my father, I beg your pardon, my father-in-law and my father were detected with cancer, and both passed away within a time span of about a year. And my husband was simultaneously detected with tapeworm in the brain. I had no brother. All the men in our lives, from both sides of my family, were not well. And that's when I actually took up healing. My idea was never to really teach it until I actually got acquainted with it. I can't really describe to you the feeling of actually getting into this particular realm, because it's absolutely surreal. It's almost like a very, very thirsty man has his first sip of water. It was inexplicable. My first foray into it was through Reiki. Reiki, I did level 1 when my father when I first got to know that my father was suffering from cancer. I flew to Delhi to meet him. But a very dear school friend of mine by the name of Vandana, who was in CGM with me, she knew this particular Reiki teacher so well. And that is how I started doing Reiki healing. I did level 1 and level 2 before I came back to Bangalore. I went back to Delhi to do level 3 and finally my mastership. She guided me to do hypnotherapy again. And I did level 1, level 2, level 3, and I finally did the final level and also got the PhD degree in hypnotherapy. I also did something called soul healing. I did angel therapy. I did crystal healing, theta healing. I did to the teacher's level of theta healing. I can't explain, but all these particular healing modalities was really one. It really meant you're connecting to the universal cosmic energy. And after you connect to this universal cosmic energy, you're never the same. You never ever feel alone. You never feel as if you're helpless and don't know what to do. You never feel you can't cope with whatever life throws at you. So I would really want to take this opportunity to really share the fact that whether you're in a very, very good space just now, or whether you are not, any healing modality really will enrich your life. Beyond words, beyond explanation, it doesn't matter what you really choose to do. Because it's like they say, all paths lead to God. It's really like that. You don't really feel that irrespective of whether you have parents or not, whether you have siblings, whether you have friends, you just develop this innate strength and confidence that can only come from this. No amount of education, no amount of support from family, friends. I mean, they're all important. They're all great to have. I don't undermine any of that. But it's a level beyond all of that. It really is. So I really wish to tell you the importance of this, because one never knows what is around the corner. And if you have an opportunity to reach out to any teacher for any of the various healing modalities, whether it's pranic healing, Reiki healing, theta healing, or any other such healing modality that you're attracted to join, please do so, because it's such an enriching and rewarding experience, and you'll never ever regret any time or money spent on this in this area. So I really wish to thank all my ELSA sisters for joining this and for always supporting me in terms of advice. And I want to particularly thank these particular ELSAs. Please forgive me if I've forgotten anybody else's name. But Vanita Bali from Prestige Exotica, Rashmi from Adarsh Vista, Madhulika from Golden Enclave, Kanu from Shobha Quartz, Geeta Dayal from Mantri Espana, Chandrima from Purva Riviera, Geeta Varghese from Indranagar, Neha from St. John's Wood, Shahana from Embassy, and Shalini from Divya Shri, and Tina from Shobha Palladian. If it wasn't for these ELSA sisters, I would not be today where I am in terms of my profession. And if it had not been for my background of my school and college and other education that I had, and primarily because of the healing opportunities that I had for various healing modalities, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you for sharing about the lives which has been lived so fully in every way. So can I start by asking you one question? Why
Sure.
did you title your talk A Tryst with Destiny?
Okay, so I think that is almost self-explanatory because um, rather than resenting anything that came my way, and I think it was a lot to do with my grandmother, who was actually started various social work institutions in Lucknow. Um, she taught me to have a great sense of belief and trust in God, and it was basically perhaps that training when I was really very small, because she was a widow for 20 years and came to stay with us in Delhi, that I understood that it is so important to believe in the powers, in the higher powers, and to believe in God. And if you completely surrender yourself to Him, um, He will guide you on your path like no other human being can really help you. So it's I would say tryst, because it was really a romance with destiny, that okay, you can throw me whatever you want to throw at me, but I've got the support of God above, and irrespective of what my karma would be, I'm sure I can come out of it.
Okay. So if there's any questions, we could go ahead. We have, I think, another 5 minutes for questions.
Can I ask a question, please? Madhuri, can I go ahead?
Please.
Yes, please, Shalini.
Okay, so, having known Madhuri last 3 years, one of the things, at least I have found in her, is discipline is very correct. She's extremely disciplined. If she commits a particular time, whatever she commits will be done at that time. You can rest assured, no matter. She's bailed us out as a community. Sometimes, we've gone to her at the last moment, and she's committed and she's delivered on it. And also the way she handled her whole business during the lockdown was phenomenal. All of us used to wait for her little message to come to tell us what she's cooking the next day, because that was all that we were getting in our community. And she really lived up to it, did it on a daily basis. The question I have for you, Madhuri, is, I know your quest for learning, everything. What is the next thing that you're planning to do now?
Okay, I'm the eternal student, and I hope to be the eternal teacher too. I did teach Reiki and Theta healing for some time, but I think when I started and I wanted to start a healing school, I was perhaps too early for my time. So I really regard cuisine as something that I would want to put into, have professional hands really handle that for me. And I just oversee it instead of being so deeply involved in it as I am at the moment. And with the amount that I earn, I hope to be able to start a healing school, in a healing center in which I can both teach, have teachers, including myself, teach it, as well as have other professional teachers to also come in and help people cope with their, whatever is there in their life that they feel they require healing for.
No, I'm sure you'll make a big success out of it.
Thank you so much.
Are there any more questions? Okay, then shall I ask you one more then?
Sure, Geeta, please.
Can you tell me why, after doing a PhD in all hypnotherapy and alternate healing, you went in for catering? I mean, right now that's in the back burner, isn't it? Yeah, this is taking up all your time.
Yes, but if there is anybody who really requires some healing to be sent, that's my first calling. So I really put everything aside, and it's amazing how the universe helps you. And I managed to carve the time out to be able to help them. So it's something that is never in the back burner. It's something that is the first and foremost duty of mine. So I really am very grateful to the universe for having given me the degree of a PhD, because I do know that it has, uh, people look up to a PhD degree. But more than anything else, I think if one is driven with a sense of helping out people, um, that is the most important aspect of a doctor or a healer. And yes, I am completely and absolutely involved and committed to my cuisine at the moment, but there's always time for healing.
So any particular tips on, how to make very good cuisine? I mean, we all cook, but then I'm sure there must be something which makes it go to that higher level, which you seem to have achieved, isn't it? So just share some
Sure.
of your tips.
So I think it's basically the sauces which really make a cuisine, Geeta. Whether it's a dessert, then it's the filling, it's the icing, it's the topping, it's the decoration, it's everything that is not just the cake itself, but it's everything that goes into it. And we try and make our cakes as healthy as possible. We try and make our cuisine as healthy as possible. We use lots of low calorie stuff, low calorie cheese, olive oil, fresh herbs. Always try and balance the meal that I do, um, which I present to the various communities. So it's something that we eat every single day. And what I really concentrate on as far as cuisine is concerned are the sauces, because people may know how to make something, but may not know how to make it really perhaps in a low calorie way, or in something which can, even keep, because there are lots of people who order from me and they want to have it the next day. So I should know how well it can keep. I should be able to guide them. For example, we just did low calorie croissant and Danish just yesterday. So I told them you can keep the croissants for 5 to 6, I say 5 to 6 days, but I know I've eaten them for even 8 or 9 days later. And they still taste perfectly fresh once put in the oven. So it's these particular things that, really an in-depth knowledge. So if you're really interested in a particular cuisine, then just go and browse the internet, ask friends. We have this wonderful ELSA group, Recipe Goodness. So if you're really interested in cuisine, do go on to that. And I'm sure the ELSA sisters would help out in giving you lots of tips for improving your food. And it's really important at this time when you cannot go to gyms and things like that, or it's not safe to really go into them, to have a balance in your diet, such that you can safely order from a place which is clean, hygienic, and uses fresh ingredients, fresh sauces, and things like that. So it's basically concentrating on your ingredients, as fresh as possible, and your sauces, so that the sauces are really, really tasty. And so whatever you make into them, whether it's vegetarian or non-vegetarian, they taste wonderful.
Okay, that really is, your cooking, and whatever I have tasted is, I think it stands testimony to all that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Madhuri. So, Vandana, will you please announce the next talk we'll be having in ELSAConnect?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Geeta. Madhuri, I'm still grappling with the varied areas that you've sort of been into
Yes.
and done wonders. I, of course, have tasted a lot of your cooking when you catered at Bangalore Club, and it was my favorite to always order your pizzas and the burgers. And
Thank
all of
you.
us Elsas have tried all your cakes and, healthy, unhealthy, let me put both. Taste is taste, but But thank you. It's been absolutely awesome and inspirational. And I love the bit on the healing. I mean, you have so much depth and you've shared it with us. And I love the encouragement that you've given everyone, whether these times or any time, to dip into
Yes.
that healing, to
Yes.
dip into themselves and use that at times like this. I'd love to invite all of you for this most awesome session. Each session of ELSAConnect is so special. And we have Shafiqe Lal on Saturday, 4 o'clock, same time as we do. And Shafiqe has been our treasurer at Bangalore, 2019-20. And she has many dimensions to her. Okay, I've known Shafiqe since school, so I think there's a lot of inside there on that relationship which you sort of, when it's a friend who've been with in school and then again in college and then you connect back in Bangalore. So Shafiqe has moved 25 homes. I thought I was the only one who moved so much. She's lived in 4 countries and she's lived in 5 states in India. And to quote her, she says, in 2018, my voice was rusty from disuse. And then I was invited to an ELSA talk session in Bangalore. And the session was on changing behavior. So she said that, shall I come early to help? And that's when ELSA changed and saved my life. So hear it from Shafiqe on Saturday as she talks about finding the heart of light. Over to you, Geeta.
Thank you, Vandana. Thank you. So, Madhuri, thank you for a lovely session of sharing whatever you have done. You go the whole hog. I know people tinker with so many things, but whatever you take up, you go right to the ultimate, in whatever. So that, thank you again. And thank you to Tanya and Sandhya and Nilu for all the support at the back end. And thank you all again for coming for this session.
Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you for being the heart of my my success, and thank you for always being my sisters. Thank you very much.
We'll just